That's wild. Tensions rise as Russian men flee into Georgia.
When this war started, Ukrainian women and children were fleeing the Russian army. Now Russian men are fleeing their own military. Vladimir Putin's partial mobilization has caused a general panic in Russia. This was the queue on Russia's border with Georgia. No food, drinks or toilets. This man took 5 days to cross to Georgia. I had to abandon my car, he said. It's been a marathon. Ilya queued for 60 hours. I only had 4 hours sleep. Now I want to put myself into a washing machine. And then he pulled out a Polaroid. I want to live.
I personally think these kinds of images is not necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of people have simply lost the capacity to see Russian people as though they are anything but a monolith. They think a lot of the way that like Western media has covered the plight of Russian people in this situation almost makes it seem like they're a monolithic force that just wants the evisceration of the West and all this shit. So this is a good coverage.
To see my daughter grow up. Nobody I spoke with said they supported this war, but until now
they're running away.
They hadn't dared to speak out.
Everyone understands the reason we're here is because of the man in the Kremlin. Gosh, they'll kill me for that, but it doesn't matter anymore. We're safe. And the main thing is we don't have to kill anybody.
The people that are coming through are exhausted, hungry, sleep deprived. In most cases, people had to spend days in the queue, but they're relieved. They have reached safety. They have avoided the risk of being killed on a battlefield in Ukraine.
Today, downtown Tbilisi, Georgia's capital, feels like little Moscow. It didn't happen overnight. The Russian exodus began even before the war as repressions grew. But since last week's mobilization, the number of Russians entering Georgia peaked at more than 10,000 a day. And they can stay here without a visa for up to a year. They're opening bank accounts and queuing for local SIM cards. Opposition politicians are urging the government to end this open-door policy.
It's a great security concern, first of all, if we have large numbers of the Russian citizens basically settling down here permanently. Using the force and using the Russian army to protect Russian citizens in the foreign lands and the foreign countries is the right, constitutional right of the Russian Federation. We all understand that the Russians are, in a sense,
implying that civilians escaping the draft is like some kind of 5D chess strategy to create a fifth column style invasion plan is a wild fucking take. Like they're sending their forward invading forces, the chatter also pointed it out. I mean, that's crazy. Like these are humans, man. They're fucking humans. They're literally running away. They're refugees. Are there countries that don't have this paranoia though? No, they don't. And the problem is they say they have a reason to be wary. Sorry. I'll just say it like this. Being a fucking, Muslim immigrant in this country, I've heard that fucking rhetoric far too many goddamn times, okay? Get the fuck out of here, bro. That is literally just, that is just straight up the exact same narrative. Anyone who doesn't think that this is fifth columnist propaganda is being blinded. It is wild, but is it completely unbelievable, like Russia invading Ukraine in the first place? Oh my God, dude. Like I have like 9 month subscribers. You have completely lost the plot. Russia invading Ukraine in the first place is up to one individual, Vladimir Putin's fucking mania. Okay? What you are describing is ascribing negative associations and a you know, battalion of people that are engaging in like espionage. You're talking about mobilizing hundreds of thousands of humans with their babies and shit. There's no difference between what you're saying about Russians going into Georgia as people say about Syrians fleeing Syria. Please try to, you know, take a deep breath and reconsider your perspective.
Weaponizing their citizens.
Georgian activists picketed the border this week to remind the new arrivals about their own war with Russia in 2008 over South Ossetia. 20% of Georgian territory is still occupied by Russian forces. Georgians stand with Ukraine. Hundreds of them have volunteered to fight there, and more than a dozen have made the ultimate sacrifice. People feel very strongly here that Russians who came to Georgia have a job to do back home.
If the Russian citizens today are unhappy, as they should be, with their government, I very much hope that they will make their voices heard in their own country.
But put that to the new Russians in exile, many of them middle-class, educated professionals like Vadim, and they will tell you that resistance in today's Russia is futile.
That's conditional citizenship. Like, even then, it's like, hey, you want to be here? You got to fucking earn it. Every person that's a fresh off the boat fob immigrant in this chat has heard identical fucking takes. You've heard it. You've fucking straight up heard it. This is a terrible analogy and you know it. No, it's not. But Georgia being partially occupied by a colonizer, Russia, it's not the same. Yeah, no, I get it. Can't wait for you to cover the next Russo-Georgian war. Motherfucker, you think Russia using that as a pretext is somehow justifiable? Are you fucking stupid? You think Russia would not actually just still use that regardless of whether or not there were Russian refugees that were inside of the fucking Georgian borders? Like, you're making it seem like Russia is going to be like, oh man, well, I guess we have a lot of immigrants in there that ran away from the draft, so I guess we got to fucking invade. Yeah, no shit. If they want to invade, they're going to do that regardless. Georgia has to think about actual existence as a state. Easy to say as a Turk or American. No, go ahead, man. Justify it more. You're right. These are fucking not human beings. So what's your take then? My point is, treat human beings with kindness, empathy, and dignity. They all deserve it. Doesn't matter what state actors decide to fucking justify their actions with. Okay? That's it.
Huge repressive machine. There is internal riot police, Rosgvardia of like 400K people, almost 500,000 people, who are trained to suppress protests. And any political organization that was still present in Russia, they got destroyed. Their finance was cut. Their leaders were put in jails. I don't see how anyone in Russia can affect the situation, how they can fight the regime. Regime put like 10 years of repressive legislation to make it not possible. It was like a long game for them.
There's no going back for these new arrivals while this war continues. In Russia, they were willing to live with the war or ignore it until the call for mobilization came. Now they will be reminded of it wherever they go.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
So with things.
Wait, what is this? Oh my God, they're doing VR Among Us.